Hello, welcome to Mr. Reads Reads. This is a new poem, the Campaign for Women's Rights poem that goes with our women's suffrage movement course. Women's rights in 1900 look clearly like a joke. The country run by misogynists with no idea of woke. They let women work in factories for half of what men got, servants and teachers and nurses too, but nothing's too high was their lot. Women got trapped in marriages at the mercy of their man. No money for divorces, losing children if they ran. Women could now go to uni, but they still couldn't get a degree. Most girls stopped schooling at 11 to learn how to cook and make tea. So why could they not change their station? Well, the law was for men, don't you know? Proper ladies had no thoughtful opinions. These sexist morons would now face a blow. First, there was a suffragist movement. Millie Fawcett with NUWSS. She was known to get sick before speeches, but she organised things with finesse. It became a very middle-class movement, with petitions and posters and stuff, like calendars and some public meetings. Votes for women, enough is enough. Yet for some, peaceful means weren't effective. Suffragists were just being ignored. Deeds not words, cried the militant faction. Violent action would now be explored. Emmeline Pankhurst did set up the movement, the Suffragettes as they soon became known. Women's social and political union, female power was now to be shown. Emmeline was backed by her daughters, Christabel and Sylvia their names. It quickly spread round the country, getting headlines, then votes were their aims. They shouted at large public meetings, harangued MPs in Parliament too. They fought back when police came to nick them. Despite criticism, the movement still grew. 500,000 women marched up to London. When ignored, many windows they smashed. Some chained themselves to the palace. Newspaper headlines saw suffragettes splashed. Still no votes made the Jets still more angry. So to bombing and arson they took. Theresa Garnett had whipped Winston Churchill. An axe at Asquith meant his nerves had been shook. The police set the special branch working to disrupt and arrest suffragettes, the first use of photographic surveillance, backed up by more violence and threats. Suffragettes were now oft sent to prison. Hunger strikes were their way to protest. Rubber tubes were shoved into their stomachs. Liquid foods they were forced to ingest. But news of the treatment went public. An outcry was heard all around. George V said it should not have happened. A more suitable way must be found. The government instead freed the sick ones. When healthy, back to prison they went. Cat and Mouse Act was what it called by the women. Suffragettes just fought harder, unbent. Now things started getting controversial as the violence of the suffragettes grew, setting fire to houses and churches. From the movement, many women withdrew. 1913 saw the act at the Derby. Emily Davison with the King's horse, planting a flag or to stop it, left her close to death on the course. She died just a few short days later. Miss Davison a martyr became. Thousands attended her funeral. For suffragettes, a new level of fame. Yet still the government was unbending. To fight on now the women still swore. Yet 1914 saw a change of direction with the outbreak of the Great War. The suffragettes called off their campaign and supported the fight against the Hun. Encouraging men to the army meant the vote once the fighting was done. Thank you very much.